This is Off the Ice, the Nanaimo Clippers Hockey Show on 106.9 The Wolf. With the latest news on the Clippers and the BCHL, here's Dan Marshall.
It is Off the Ice, the Clippers Hockey Show, as we're into the month of December. The BCHL hockey season is rolling. We're going to talk to the head coach and general manager of the Clippers right off the bat. We're also going to have a couple of defensemen to join us. Let's bring in the head coach and general manager of the Clippers. Coach, everybody's panicking. There's snow on the ground, and in Nanaimo, we're not used to it. You have coached in some bitterly cold places in your career. You're from Fort St. John. You coached in Prince George. You've coached in Grand Prairie. Do you have any good winter weather stories that you can share with us?
Oh, man. Again, you put me on the spot.
This because I know you've got a lot.
Well, I'll tell you what, we often, I know my dad and I talk about this all the time, actually, just because he's an old truck driver from way back and a lot of miles on the highway, and he's always amazed at the amount of trips that we made up north through all the years on the buses and stuff, and some of the weather that guys would have to travel through to get from point A to point B could be pretty treacherous, to say the least. And I remember a couple of different coming upon some different sort of situations where we got the whole team out of a bus to push people out of ditches and things like that. And I remember one time we gave a couple a ride on our bus because we couldn't get their car out of their ditch, so we just made somebody got up out of their seats and moved around and put two seats together for them, and they were quite enjoying a movie at about 3 a.m. on a bus with us, some strangers from... Actually, they weren't even from Canada either, which was kind of a neat story in itself, and they ended up getting a hockey bus ride to the next city with us, and those types of stories for sure. But being put on the spot, the one that I can recall that comes to mind that I always remember was having to play... I was playing senior hockey up north, and... we used to go to this one little town that had a team in our league, and they were always big and rough and tumble to play against for one thing, but we'd be a little short-staffed when we'd get there to play them all the time, too, because it seemed like everybody would have a little bit of the flu on those days sometimes to make the road trip, and as well as not getting off work on time to be able to catch the bus to go to these games. And senior hockey was pretty tough in those days, too. It was physical, and it was good hockey, but I remember getting to the rink, and it was about 35 below outside, and they had a thermometer inside, which was right by the dressing room, and it was 42 below inside. So we had to play hockey, and it was 7 degrees colder inside than it was outside.
I think there are a lot more stories that we could get into, but we want to talk hockey and about your team. And I also wanted, just before we touch on hockey, tonight, all of the guys, I was texting back and forth with Dustin Donahue today, are out manning Salvation Army kettles, and you and I don't talk about this much, although we do certainly talk about it with your office staff. This organization is out in the community a whole bunch. Tonight's no exception with kettle campaigns. I know there was a couple of guys out that were bringing coffee to some local team sponsors today, but your guys do an awful lot in the community, as much as any team that I'm aware of.
We're very proud of that. One of the first things that we have on our, we sort of have a list, or we call it our commitment list, I guess. And one of the things that we ask all of our players to commit to is being a good citizen, and that's something that's really important. I think junior hockey teaches you a little bit about that, allows you an opportunity to become a member of a community. In a lot of the cases, or a large percentage of cases, the players aren't even from this community, but you want to learn to be involved in the community that you're living in. And so we're doing a lot of that. We're involved with reading programs at the elementary school levels, minor hockey mentorship programs. We're going to seniors' homes here over the holidays, helping out the Salvation Army, obviously, here with the kettle campaigns and, different fundraising initiatives around the community and those types of things. So it's definitely a big part of what we want to do to give back to our community, but it's also a really good learning opportunity for our players, learning as they grow into young men here about what it is to be a part of a community and give back where you can.
Your team's going through a process right now of trying to learn how to consistently win. And wins didn't come in the month of November, and there were a couple of bottom-out performances. I think of the game in Prince George as certainly one, but you have points in the last 3 hockey games, and when you won 7-0 against Merritt, the team went downhill again very quickly. But what I feel right now is that maybe your team is on a slow and steady climb right now, getting points, not necessarily wins, but getting points consistently right now, and I think you have to like a lot about the way your guys have been playing.
Well, I think we've played pretty well lately. Not always getting the result that we want, but we've played a lot better towards the tail end of the month. We had some pretty good hockey games. The last 2 of that long road trip were pretty good hockey games. We got 1 tie there in Langley. It was a good game. The 1-0 game with Victoria was a good game. Even large parts of that second half of that doubleheader, even though we didn't win in Victoria, we were playing hard and playing better. I think the 2-1 loss to Alberti this week was, in overtime, was a game that could have went certainly a different way. We were having a little trouble finishing on the offensive side, but Friday night again, I thought we played a good game against Cowichan, got 2 points there, and I was really happy with the way that we played on the road in Cowichan the other night. We had a couple of interesting turns of events during the game that maybe went against us a little bit. We were short-staffed. We lost a guy like Tristan Crozier, who plays a lot of minutes for us on the penalty kill, power play, regular shift, has basically played as our top center iceman. He left the game after 1 shift, and we had to play in the absence of him, and I thought we fought hard and played well, and unfortunately it's a 2-point game for us. You don't want to pick out one specific play, but we had a really good opportunity in the 2-on-1 in overtime where the net was open, and Jamie just shot a little bit too high, and it went over the net, and unfortunately we missed a really good opportunity. And what quite often happens in the 3-on-3 overtime, you don't bury your chance, and then the other team does at the other end, and that's what that 3-on-3 is all about. It's about solving games. And I don't think if we had the shootout, for example, like in the National Hockey League, I think when a team leaves a rink and they lost in a shootout, they don't usually hang their heads too bad. It's a good close game, and I think our overtime is kind of the same way. Although, when you look at it, we haven't had the greatest results in overtime this year either, because I think we've got at least 5 losses, I think, in overtime this year.
I was going to pick up on that you do have 5 losses in overtime, yourselves and the Merritt Centennials, the most OT losses in the league. Knowing how tight the games are right now and how every team is improving, the games aren't going to get any less tight, I don't think, down the stretch. Are you forced to practice overtime and talk about overtime more than maybe you'd like, knowing that, a lot of games might be going there?
I think so. We haven't a lot, and maybe that's maybe that's the reason why. I'm not sure, but some of it just bounces. You get your chance, you got to be able to bury it, and then it goes the other direction sometimes, and they bury their chance. But we've talked about it a little bit, especially about the puck possession and just a little bit of the patience may be necessary. But so far, we haven't had the results that we've wanted, and I think. The 4-on-4 is one thing. The 3-on-3 is a whole different type of game altogether. But I think it is important to probably get a little bit more focus on those 2 situations because, we've got a pretty tight league right now. If you look at the standings, there's a couple of teams at the top of each division a little bit, and, that might have a little bit more impressive records. But there's a whole middle part of the league right now that's maybe the largest middle that our league has had this late in a season for a long time. And, so there's a lot of teams that are competitive teams, but maybe are, around 500, little above, little below, that can all play. And so I think you're going to see a lot of tight games like that, like you said, and, games going into overtime where, the points are definitely important. You can't always just get one. You got to get your 2 from time to time. There's no question about that.
David Eccles looks more and more comfortable all the time and just looks like the quintessential Nanaimo Clipper defenseman, or maybe even I'd say the quintessential Mike Vandekamp defender on the back end that does everything well, but sometimes really quietly.
Yeah, he's really an impressive player for us. And you're right, he's the kind of defenseman that we like. He defends first. He's there to keep pucks out of his net. I'd like to have about 4 more of them. He's just a steady Eddie guy. He's a rock, and he's keeps it simple. He's not really an offensive guy. Like you say, his mindset's more about the defense first, I think. And
made a heck of a pass, though, for a goal in that game on Saturday.
Say, but then he throws in a surprise, and, he makes about a 100-foot pass, tape to tape, to send a guy in on a breakaway there on Saturday night. And, he gets his shots through from the point. He's effective. He's efficient with his ice time. He doesn't overdo it. He's not guilty like a lot of junior defensemen are of trying to do too much. He keeps it simple out there, and I think he's going to be a great playoff performer. I think if we can get Sean Buchanan back on our D-core here soon, which is the goal, obviously, that'll help. Add another good veteran guy back there. I've really been impressed with the way that Taylor Carl has played lately. I think he's, as well, has had to play a lot of minutes and step up, and he's playing a lot better, and him and David Eccles both have been really good leaders for us back there. So, like I say, getting Bucky back, and I think at some point, we still have to add a defenseman. I mean, we only have 6. We haven't replaced Austin Crossley yet, who, has gone to the Western Hockey League, and we haven't replaced him with a player yet that we've been able to find that we, feel fits in properly yet. So we've got to, at some point between now and the 10th of January deadline, try to address that as well.
You've got 4 games in a row against division leaders coming up, 2 against Victoria, 2 against Wenatchee, and it's fun to look at those games as measuring sticks, if you will, for a hockey club from the media standpoint. But do you still take the attitude that you don't care who you're playing and you just go out and Wednesday is just another one to tick off the column?
Well, we have to be that way. I mean, we don't need any measuring sticks right now. We need points. We need to play well, and it is an interesting part of the schedule for sure, because we do go Victoria-Wenatchee and then Victoria-Wenatchee for 4 games, and then we play the defending champions in their building, and then a 3-3 in Coquitlam to finish before Christmas. So we've got a tough schedule here. That's 6 really difficult games for us, no question. And my biggest concern probably right now is the health. Like, I wish we could somehow have all hands on deck or even close to that, and losing Tristan the other night did not help things. I mean, it's been hard enough not having Finner down the middle, but if Crozier can't play, that's going to be problematic for us too. So those are 2 major holes. Not too many teams play without their top 2 centers. And I don't want to get too far, out of hand, but just as an example, like if the, Penguins didn't have Crosby and Malkin, well, it makes a difference to the lineup. So you take any team's top 2 centers out, it's going to make a difference. So hopefully Tristan can get better fast, and I know obviously Finner's doing what he can do, and he's getting there, but we've just got to try to get healthy, because I think we're going to be a much different team when we do get healthy. But we have to keep ourselves in the proper spot in the standings, and to be able to benefit from that in the second part of the season when we come back after Christmas. So this stretch of 6 games, we just got to claw our way to as many points as we possibly can, and it doesn't matter who we're playing. We just have to continue to build on the confidence that I think I've seen come out of our team here in the last few games.
If you don't have Crozier and Finner for the game on Wednesday, and you have to have different APs in the lineup, do you have to game plan differently? Do you have to play a different game if injuries are really hampering you at the center position?
Yes, probably you would, but I'm not sure if, your players have to be able to adapt, and that's tough. Like, this level of hockey, it's tough to get guys to really simplify, and, you can see in the National Hockey League, there's teams that get by with less than others have, but the games are still very competitive and close. And just as an example, just off the top of my head, I'm thinking about the Calgary Flames can go into Chicago and win a hockey game any night of the at any time, and you look at the 2 lineups and go, well, how does that happen? Well, it's because they play well as a team, and it's a team sport, and sometimes you make adjustments and adapt to where you have limitations and play to your own strengths and those types of things. But at the junior A level, it can be very difficult. I mean, we're having a hard enough time getting our guys just to adapt to playing a strong team game and what that means in the structure side, and now all of a sudden you have to make even more adjustments to try to make up for missing pieces. That can be pretty tough to pull off in a short period of time. So I think right now we just have to play smart, play hard, play a structured game, try to stay out of the penalty box, and hopefully have some players step up, which I saw a little bit of in Cowichan the other night. We had some players play some of their better games. When you think about individual performances, David Silly was really, really good down the middle for us the other night. Played great game. Danny Peon played his best game that he's played in our jersey, not just because he scored a goal, but was also just his best game as far as I was concerned. You see Jake Harris starting to take some steps out there. Those are just some of the names that are popping out at me, right now on top of my head. But that's, you need to see more and more of that. If you're going to have injuries and guys missing, you need other guys to step up.
Coach, appreciate the time as always, and we'll chat again on Wednesday.
Thanks a lot, Dan.
That is the head coach and general manager of the Clippers, Mike Vandekamp, joining us here on Off the Ice. We're going to have a couple of defensemen to join us next, Shawn Guison and also Myles Cunningham on Off the Ice. Welcome back to Off the Ice. I'm Dan Marshall. This segment joined by Clippers defenseman Shawn Guison, Clippers defenseman Myles Cunningham. We're going to talk to the two of them about their hockey season so far, and we're also going to do a game segment today for an incredible Wolf fan prize pack. The game is called The Last Line of Defense. Let's start by asking some questions of Shawn Guison. Shawn, what a week last week. The Clippers get points in every game, 2 overtime losses, and a pretty thrilling last-minute win. Maybe you don't like the results because there's only one win in there, but I think you like the way the team played. What were your thoughts on the week as a whole?
I thought we came out strong in every single game, and we worked hard, literally all 3 games. But I don't know, we couldn't find those goals in overtime. But we're gonna work on that, and hopefully farther down in the season we can get those OT wins. But yeah, I thought we played pretty good.
An opportunity this week against 3 very good teams, and in fact it's 2 of the same teams twice. You've got Victoria Wednesday, Sunday, Wenatchee in there. It's 2 teams that lead their divisions right now. Have you thought about the challenge that those 2 teams are going to present you this week?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be hard couple of games with them, but I think we should do fine. I think we play are better against better teams in the league, and yeah.
What's it like right now being a mentor in some ways? Seth Barton came in and played not that long ago. This past week, it was Avery Hill who came in and played on your blue line as well. And you've got more experience than those guys. What's it like being a first-year guy but trying to also be a mentor a little bit because you're a bit short-staffed right now?
Yeah, I played 2 seasons with Seth, so I knew him pretty well, and I was able to make him more comfortable in the Clippers dressing room. But Hill, I didn't really know him that well. I wasn't his D partner, so I wasn't able to talk to him as much, but I thought they both played pretty good.
People have told me that there's a big rivalry with the Alberni Valley, and it's because of playoff rivalries the past 3 seasons, and same thing with the Powell River Kings, the playoff rivalries. But when I watched those last 2 games against Cowichan Valley, to me, there's a pretty big rivalry there. For you, is that one just as big as those other rivalries?
I think just for myself, I thought it was the biggest one. I do not like those guys in Cowichan. Yeah, definitely.
Third period on the first shift, and I'll talk to Myles about this too because you guys will both have a good take on it, but they get a goal. It's credited as a wraparound goal, and Evan, your goalie, right away is adamant that's not in the net. And the net on that side of the ice kept coming up and coming off all night. What were your thoughts on that play from your perspective?
Well, they got to drill those nets. That's all I got to say. But, tough bounce. I find whenever we play in that rink, they're always scoring goals from behind the net somehow on that same net. So, they got to drill those nets. And
what's the next step for you guys as a club? Getting points in 3 consecutive games. One of those was a win. But what's the next step that it's going to take for you guys as a hockey club to start getting consistent wins right now?
I think more shots on net. I think last game at home in Cowichan we had 15 missed nets plus the 40 shots. So if we had all those shots on net, that's 50 shots there, and that's at least 2 more goals. So we gotta keep on hitting the net.
Your game early in the season, it was seemingly all about offense. You were putting up a ton of points, but I look at the way you're playing now, and you seem to be playing a better, well-rounded game. Is that something that you've really had to work on to do? I know especially with Mike Vandekamp, being a well-rounded defenseman is a lot more important than just a guy that's putting up maybe more points.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just trying to learn how to find my man in defensive zone, and when I don't find him, I'm looking at the bench, and Mike's giving me the stare, so I know I definitely want to keep on working on being a well-rounded defenseman.
Let's bring in Myles Cunningham here, and I think that's a good place to bring it in, Myles. Yeah. I don't know that you've ever played like a coach like Mike Vandekamp before, played with a coach just like him before. You might never again. What's it like as you come into this program, learning under a coach like that who I know demands a lot from you?
Yeah, I mean, he's a great coach. You just got to be able to, like Guis was talking about, you got to be well-rounded in your game. You can't just have one facet of the game that you're good at. And he definitely preaches D-zone a lot. We work on it a lot in practice. So that's the biggest thing, I think, is focus on D-zone with Mike.
You've got a lot of offensive abilities from the blue line. You can make a good first pass. You've got an excellent shot from the point. You skate really well. You can win physical battles really well. What's been, maybe it's one thing, maybe it's more than one thing, that you really had to work on to adjust into the Clipper system?
Definitely D-zone. I mean, that's been something I've always struggled with. A little bit is defensive play, but I'm just trying to use my body more in the D-zone, find my guy like Guis was talking about, and not be out there for goals against.
We haven't talked to you before on this show, but give us a sense of your hockey background, your hockey history up till you came here to Nanaimo.
So I played high school hockey, which is, I know they only really have it in the States, but I played for my school growing up. And then after that, last year I played in the States in the USHL, which is a junior A league there, and now I'm here. So yeah, it's been good so far.
The first time, I hadn't even seen you play yet, that Mike Vandekamp talked about you, he mentioned your shot. It's a massive weapon right now, and I think you've been trying to pick your spots when to unleash that shot. Is that part of your game you want to bring to the table even more, because you have one of the better shots that I've seen in the BCHL so far?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely trying to get my shot off more. I mean, I think I have a good one-timer, so I've been playing right D right now, so it's kind of tough to get the one-timer off from that side, but if I get a chance in the power play or something, I try to use my one-timer as much as I can.
2 of your 3 goals this year have been the instinct of going to the front of the net to help provide offense. Is that an area of your game that you think you can really bring to the table? Because there's not a lot of guys on this team that can do that consistently, and you seem to have a bit of a knack for it.
Yeah, I mean, I just try to jump in the play whenever I see an opening. I mean, usually if we can get an odd man rush, I'll try to jump up, maybe crash the net and find some of those rebound goals that can hopefully help us win some games here. I'm trying to use my body a little bit more, and obviously my speed too, but I think the BCHL is a little more free than the league I played in last year, a lot more speed and kind of a little bit less structure, which I think is better for me, but I've been trying to use my speed and physical abilities as well.
There's been a number of guys over the years that have played in the USHL and then have played in the BCHL, or vice versa. What's the big difference?
I think kind of what I was saying is the USHL is really structured, so there's a lot of systems and the games are maybe a little bit closer, but I think the BCHL is better for me because it's a little bit more free, a lot more skating. Maybe even a little more skill, but I've liked it so far.
You might have to win 1-0 or 2-1. This has been a team that has been scoring by committee all year long. Go back to the last time you faced Victoria in your own building. It was a 1-0 game. Is there a lot of pressure in playing in games like that? Or as a defenseman, do you like the thought that, you know what, so we're not going to give up much here and we're going to be content to win 1-0, 2-1 on a nightly basis?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think we like it. Coach Dustin, he's on the back end with us, and he's always telling us to be hard and do our job, which is defense first, right? So, yeah, I mean, I like when the games are close and you're out there and you know you can't give anything up because the team's counting on you.
Last game against Couch in second period, all of a sudden I'm watching you skate off the ice of the dressing room, and your coach was pretty upset with that play. As it turns out, I know your team's short regular defenseman, and you're out of the game for an extra 10 minutes with a misconduct. Mike Vandekamp was upset. I think you were a little bit confused about the play. What happened there in your mind?
Well, I was in the corner, and I thought I had a pretty clean check on a player, and he kind of wrapped up with me, and I kind of grabbed him, and he kind of brought me to the ice, so I kind of tried to get on top of him. Then the ref came in and escorted me off the ice, and I was a little bit confused. And then I came back out of the locker room and I saw the ref, and he was yelling at me to come back on the ice. So I went back and grabbed my gloves and stuff from the dressing room, and I was in the box for 10 minutes. But I don't know. It was a weird play.
You're going to have a lot of games with Alberni Valley, Couch, and Victoria, Powell River. Those are the Island Division games. Those are going to be the teams you play in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. I asked Shawn Guison about the rivalry, where it stands. Who's your hated rival team right now?
I don't like Cowichan very much. I mean, we've played them a lot, and they're a little bit chippy, and they try to get under your skin, but I think that's the biggest team that I'm not liking right now.
Let's play a game right now. It's called The Last Line of Defense for a super awesome Wolf prize pack. Each of you guys has a bell in front of you. I'm going to ask you a question about a defenseman. A lot of them are from your own team, and we're going to see which one of you can win this game. The last line of defense. Get ready for those bells. First guy to chime in will get to answer. This D-man once played for the Brooks Bandits. Myles Cunningham.
TK.
Taylor Carl is correct. 1-0 Cunningham. This Clipper defenseman has played the most games as a Clipper. Myles Cunningham.
Bucky.
Sean Buchanan.
Yeah.
2-0. This Clipper defenseman played 8 playoff games in the USHL last year. Shawn Guison.
Myles Cunningham.
That is correct. It is 2-1 Cunningham. He played in the TELUS Cup Midget Championship in both 2014 and 15. Shawn Guison.
Adam Pilot.
That is correct. It's a 2-2 tie. This player was an AP for the Clippers last year and played for Clippers head coach Jason Williamson. Shawn Guison.
Shawn Guison.
That is correct. Guison pulls into the lead. This player played for the Carleton Place Canadians last year. Oh, that was a tie. I'm going with Myles. Lanive is correct. It's 3-3. He's the only Clipper D-man without a goal this year. I'm going with Guison this time.
You don't even know it.
You were too trigger happy on it this time. Might give Myles a chance to steal here. Only Clipper D-man without a goal this season. Shot clock in 3.
Wait, I don't know.
2, 1.
You want me?
Not correct. Myles, any chance for a steal here?
I was gonna say Will. I don't think I know.
David Eccles.
Oh.
Only Clipper defenseman without a goal this season.
Yeah.
We're still tied. This one is, I'm sorry, Myles, but this is big advantage, Sean, for this one.
Yeah.
Which Nanaimo Clipper wore Myles number 4 last year?
Oh, I know.
Yanni.
Yanni Caldas is correct. Guison pulls into the lead. There are 2 BCHL defensemen currently tied for the most points among all BCHL defensemen. Name either one of them. Myles Cunningham.
The guy in Langley. What's his name? Oh, we were just talking about him the other day.
He had a father who still holds the single season record for the most assists in one season.
With a G or something, his last name.
This guy's dad had 111 assists in the mid-'80s.
I don't know his name. He plays on Langley. I can see it. He's number 6, I think.
Myles is all over it.
Name.
Sean, you can steal this, though. Janetti is correct. Oh, that was greasy. Let Myles work the whole thing out and then jump in with the answer at the end.
Think of his name.
Final question. Who is the last Clipper defenseman to score a game-winning goal? Shawn Guison.
TK.
Taylor Carl is correct. Congratulations, Shawn Guison, a winner here. And you win. This is full of swag from the Wolf.
Swag.
We've got it all. We've got stickers. We've got keychains. The bag itself is a prize.
True.
So when you go back to the Okanagan, you're going to have yourself some stocking stuffers there. Thanks to us at the Wolf. Sean, Myles, thanks so much for this, and enjoy the week.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Very much, man.
You've been listening to Off the Ice, the Clippers Hockey Show. Join us again next Monday night at 7 on Nanaimo's Rock. 106.9 The Wolf.